Hello and welcome to my channel, where you find different tutorials on everything related to flight simulation. In this video I'll explain how to use Simbrief. Simbrief is a free virtual flight planning tool. It will generate all the data you need for the flight you want to do in your favorite flight simulation software. For a typical flight, pilots need at least the following pieces of information: the routing, fuel planning, flight log, weather and NOTAMs. After inputting the main pieces of information, Simbrief retrieves all of this and compiles a folder with the necessary documentation for the pilot to perform his flight safely based on the latest real-world information available. The amount of detail is really breathtaking, as we'll discover towards the end of this video. It gets even more crazy. When you have your flight details generated, Simbrief also allows you to submit this flight plan to virtual air traffic control networks, like VATSIM. You can even use it to import in Navigraph, so you have all the necessary charts at your fingertips to do your flight. I'll cover both great topics in a follow-up video. So if you like this one and don't want to miss the follow-up ones, be sure to subscribe and give us a thumbs up. Let's go through the process of signing up to the Simbrief website and create our first flight plan. As Simbrief is part of Navigraph, you'll have to create a free account on Navigraph first, so let's do that. Go to the website navigraph.com and click on Get Started. You'll have to provide a few details and confirm your account. When you're all set, you can go back to simbrief.com and click on Login using Navigraph. In the About menu, you'll find the different aircraft types supported by Simbrief and the accuracy of each type. The most popular one is Airbus A320, used in about 45% of the flight plans generated. To start planning your first flight, go to the Dispatch menu, click on Dispatch System. Here you click on New Flight. Enter the ICAO airline code and a flight number of your choice. For depart and arrive, you can enter the ICAO code of the airport. By clicking on the little cloud, you can already get the weather META of that airport at the time. Fill in the date that you want to plan the flight and choose the aircraft type that you want to fly with. Based on this information, Simbrief already pre-fills most of other fields, but you can still tweak them if you want. Let's review the other pieces of information. When ready, press Generate Flight. Optional entries are scheduled flight time, departure runway that you can select yourself. In this case, runway 15 was selected. The amount of passengers you want to take on board can be auto-filled. Here you already see the route Simbrief generates for you, and it's based on the AIRAC 2113 cycle. When you're ready, press Generate Flight. You confirm that you want to generate a flight plan, and that's all. Now you can load this route into Navigraph and even directly in the FlyByWire A320 aircraft from Flight Simulator 2020. All waypoints are preloaded in the flight management system and you can go and fly that route. Here the routing has been generated and the different nav aids that you need in between are pre-calculated for you. Also the departure and the arrival procedures are in place. The fuel planning is in the operational flight plan, so you know how much fuel you need to take on board for doing this flight. There's a detailed flight log with all the different points en route. The latitude and longitude is there, the estimate elapsed time is there, all kinds of other parameters, the true airspeed that you would have, the wind components that are over there, the outside air temperature, the estimated fuel on board, and so on. There's also the top of climb indicated and much more. A separate chart is also generated that has the current weather, and so you also know the weather en route, how it fluctuates between departure and arrival. In addition, there's also the profile showing the different heights at the different waypoints that you will encounter on your flight. It shows the top of climb, it shows the top of descent, it even has details on the height of the terrain. Welcome to the flight deck. Here we can configure in the flypad our connection to Simbrief. In order to connect to your Simbrief account, in the settings on the flypad, you go to ATSU AOC and you enter the Simbrief username / pilot ID. This is this 6-digit number. Once you've entered this, you can go back to the dashboard and you can even click here on From Simbrief. All the data from your current flight plan will get loaded into the dashboard. On the next tab, you'll also have the operational flight plan, the entire PDF that has been generated, the big document with the fuel calculation, which you see here, the planned fuel, with all the winds, the weight, the nav aids, the flight log, the NOTAMs, everything is in here. So it's a hugely helpful tool. And once you've been able to connect here, also through the MCDU, you can then download the flight plan into the flight management system. On the MCDU tab, you go to ATSU, AOC menu, and top left, init press. The init data request that you see here, you can just press it, and at that moment it will ask from Simbrief the data from the last generated flight plan. So you see there's RD2 airports that we put in and our flight number. And the same goes for the init. Here on the init page you can also do an init request, and it will retrieve both the departure and the destination airports, the flight number, the cruising flight level, and in the meantime it will also populate all the nav aids that you need for doing your flight with a simple click in the MCDU. Simbrief always keeps your last generated flight as active in the system. You can open it by clicking on My Flight Plan, and this will show the last active flight in the system. You can also recall previously generated flights in the Saved Flights menu. It contains flights you saved, but also all previously generated plans. So I have one flight saved here and a dispatch history of now my last 10 flights, but I have more flights if I would open it up here. You can also still download the PDF of those generated flights. At some point the PDF will disappear and you will have to regenerate that flight if you want the same flight plan. I hope this video showed how to use Simbrief when setting up a new flight. I'll also use it in all of the live streams I plan on this channel, so you'll be familiar with how I plan the routes for it. If you have suggestions for other topics to be covered on this channel, or are struggling with some aspects of your home flight simulations, let me know in the comments and I'll get back to you or make a separate video on it. See you next time!